Hi, welcome to Me and RX Success Stories. I'm Brooke, and today I'm speaking with Zack, who's going to share with us his carnivore journey success. Hi, Zack, how are you?
Hi, Brooke. I'm doing well. Thank you.
Thanks for taking the time to share with our listeners what it's been like for you with carnivore. So let's get started. What's it like? How has it been like?
Yeah, Brooke. So I kind of found the carnivore diet mostly through ShawnBaker about a year ago. I was recommended the book from my brother-in-law, the Carnivore Diet. At the time, I was definitely metabolically unhealthy, a little bit overweight, struggling with some other issues like joint pain, things of that nature. And once I heard this, I was like, carnivore diet, you can't only eat meat. And I kind of scoffed at the idea. I was like, what about heart disease? And it's so common because that's exactly what people tell me now, right? So that was, April of last year. Definitely dived into the book a lot and got an understanding of what the carnivore diet was and how different variations of it. Listened to ShawnBaker on Joe Rogan. And I can still remember the exact, where I was when I heard Rogan was trying, the carnivore diet. And I was like, how do you only do that? And it definitely can be a limiting diet, for that, kind of thing. So, kind of really ramped up my, my journey in the carnivore, community as well as keto. I can, consider myself more of a keto animal-based diet at this point. So
Excuse me, were you eating keto
yeah,
then
so
at that point?
and like I said, one of the best things about Sean's book was how to transition from the standard American diet into, I guess, a full-fledged carnivore or keto, right? And it's like, take it one day at a time. If you can go one day a week on carnivore, try that. Then increase it to 2 or 3 or 4. So I took that in that approach, right? And that was the best way for me to do it. It's kind of intimidating when you start diving into all of, the videos, and I follow a lot of Michaela Peterson stuff as well as Jordan Peterson, and understanding, their journey in the carnivore diet and a lot of the things that help them self-heal themselves, in a holistic way and not by medicine or by, taking any kind of pills of that nature. So I wasn't really keto, from April to, June, July. I was definitely trying, kind of trying to get myself into the, carnivore, like going carnivore and keto. So, that being said, it took me the better half of 5 months, 5 to 6 months, to really go full carnivore. And actually, I just relocated to Charlotte, North Carolina. That's where I'm living now. And one of the best things about the area is that a lot more local farmers. So it was really accessible to get grass-fed beef, as well as, eggs as well. So that was really neat for me, was being able to support local farmers. So that was about January of this past year. So I think it took me about 6, 7 months to get really into, the carnivore space. And this past January, I really ramped it up where I was eating almost full-fledged carnivore, 6 to 7 days a week. Definitely would have my off days. So
What were you eating before?
standard American diet, this is I look back and it's so strange. I was eating a lot of chicken. I started my full-time job in 2019. So I graduated college and I started reading a lot about diet because I was a little bit overweight and, definitely have a job where I'm usually at a desk all day. And definitely limited time to work out. So that was definitely a concern, was trying to get my diet right. So I was eating a lot of chicken, a lot of ground turkey, a lot of meat that's low in fat, which is so ironic now because I've kind of went the total opposite where I'm eating a lot of ribeyes, a lot of steak. So, but the problem was that I was having a lot of, eating a lot of sugar, coffee and sugar and vegetables. I always felt bloated. And that was my biggest thing about, I didn't understand why. I was like, I'm eating, somewhat healthy. It's lean meat, a lot of lean turkey, 90-10. And I always felt bloated. I wasn't seeing the kind of results that I wanted to. So that was kind of my diet there. Definitely not the best, and it didn't make me feel good either. And I think that's one of the things that I started to notice immediately on carnivore was that I started really thinning out. And I've never been, the one to, my body type's never, I'm a little bit more built, individual. I started weightlifting when I was younger. So, that being said, when I started to eat mostly meat-based, starting in January, like full-fledged, I really thinned out. To kind of take you back, I was about 205, 210 at my heaviest, and now I'm weighing in at actually 178 late last week. after my event. So that was kind of my diet, a lot of chicken, a lot of, carbohydrates. I've never been the one to eat a lot of pasta, but the bread was always something I would do. So the transition's hard. That's one of the things that was really difficult. And I think Sean and a lot of the carnivore community, for that matter, help a lot in. So that was my diet, kind of to the T. And then.
So you were kind of, so to be clear, you were kind of eating a sort of a standard American diet that included some chicken and some pasta and bread, like a lot of people's diets. And then you wanted to go carnivore. So you transitioned from there. Not really, you didn't hang out in a keto space for a while. You kind of went straight into carnivore with Sean's suggestions of every other day or a few days a week or something. And what was difficult about that for you?
One of the biggest things that I like to, try to abstract from my life is taking away like the addictions, right? Like, so what do I need? And once I started to notice the carb withdrawal, the sugar withdrawal, it scared the heck out of me. So that was probably the hardest thing, is that I'd get, on those carnivore days, I'd eat my steak or my, maybe hamburgers, stuff like that. And I just want carbs. So what helped me there was, kind of including bacon, uncured bacon. That's something that really helped me getting that fat up. So that was one of my most difficult things, was the carb withdrawal is real. It's something that you don't really notice until you start kind of removing it from your environment. As well as, one of the other things that helped me was fasting. So I've been a really big proponent of fasting. I follow a lot of Dr. Rhonda Patrick on YouTube. So a lot of her insight has helped me, kind of remove the breakfast from my day-to-day routine. So that's been really useful, because if you're doing like a 2 meal a day or an OMAD potentially, you don't really have that spike of, you don't really have like that craving for carbs. So when I wake up, I don't really eat. Usually I do like a long run in the afternoon, and then I eat dinner, and it's like, I'm just satisfied. The saturating like effect of meat has really helped me. So I don't really have that craving for carbs anymore. They come back here and there.
So it sounds like you're eating 1 meal a day or 2 meals a day?
I go on and off. It really does depend on my schedule and what my workout routines are. So I kind of transitioned to a more endurance athlete. At this point, I got really into running. So kind of bring you full circle here. Once I started to really go carnivore, I started to run a lot more. Something that I really had struggled with before, and that kind of propelled me into the carnivore space, because I had a lot of joint pain, primarily in my knees and in my shoulders. I was a swimmer growing up, so I kind of just thought it was swimmer's shoulder, for that matter. My knees were always like a little bit sore. And my family has bad history, knee pains. I think a couple of my grandparents have knee replacements. So was definitely concerned about that, only being 21, 22. And this is when my brother-in-law recommended the book. And, I don't think the overweight, the metabolic flexibility at that level was helpful to my knee pain. Definitely I couldn't imagine carrying around 30 pounds, more of me right now. And I can only imagine the stress that puts on your joints.
So you're 30 pounds heavier.
30 pounds heavier. Yeah.
And then when you stopped eating the plants, the joints started to feel better.
Oh, significantly. And I've never gotten my inflammatory markers measured. That's just something, if I feel good, I feel good. And that's kind of how I've gone about this. Right. And, that goes along with a lot of the blood work. It's something that I've been interested in, but just something I haven't, taken advantage of yet. So yeah, immediately, once I really, really started to invest, hard to do it, more like 5 to 6 days a week. Like I said, I was doing 3 to 2, and kind of like more like a carb cycling from once I read Sean's book, and kind of diving in and trying to really invest in the science of it. So, reading Paul Saladino's book, as well as Sacred Cow from Rob Wolf, was really interesting. So really trying to educate myself over like the first 6 month span, testing it out. How do I feel? What's it like? Getting a lot of ridicule from my friends, like, you can't only eat meat. So doing that kind of thing. And then, slowly started to see my joint pain go away. It was October, November where I started to run really, really freely, where I could just, run a couple miles. And that was something I've never done. Even growing up in high school and in college, I could never run without joint pain. And then come January, started to really invest in the meat and being able to eat it like 6 to 7 days a week, where it's primarily my only source of food, and started to get really, really long distance runs in. So now it's about 6-7 miles a day on average, with a training program, a little bit different. And my joints have never felt better in my life. And it's been really, a rewarding, experience so far, because I like to say like your health is your responsibility, something a couple of people in the community have said, and taking advantage of a lot of the information that Shawn puts out as well as other people in the community has been so helpful.
That's good. So you're running
Yeah.
like an hour a day?
Yeah, just about. I've been really interested in like the endurance training. It's been really cool. A couple of my roommates got me into it, so really fun stuff. And I also serve it as like a mental clarity, so it kind of clears my head a little bit, and really good for heart conditions, stuff like that. Just late last week, I completed my first half marathon, which was an
Great.
amazing experience. So something I could never imagine myself doing 2 years ago, even a year ago at this point, with all the joint pain that I was going through. So, and just to kind of reiterate that one of the bigger issues was that I did physical therapy for about 6 months. That did not help, and I saw a couple different doctors and like my primary care and some knee specialists. And the problem was that they were just like, take Advil, stretch, and that's not my personality. I don't want to. It's not the root cause. Like, what's causing this? And I actually remember this was before I found Shawn's book. I think November of 2019. I was going through physical therapy, and I was like, listen, like I know this is gonna sound crazy, but I think the carbs are, inflaming my muscles and my joints.
Or the plants, maybe.
Yeah, and both, right? So if I'm eating some kind of bread or anything, that's what really gets me is the bread, the plants.
Well, I mean, the bread is plants.
Yeah, that's what it boils down to, right? So, and he looked at me very weird. And needless to say, I didn't go back, but 6 months and it wasn't helping. So it's like I said, your health's your responsibility. So take it into your own hands and kind of find what works for you.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome that you're doing a half marathons. That used to be my favorite run. I used to run marathons.
Oh, that's awesome.
And before I was carnivore. But it's so great to be free of joint pain. That's huge.
Yeah.
And not have to be taking Advil.
Yeah.
Huge.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so liberating. So what's your typical day of eating now?
Yeah. So usually it depends on my schedule. Like Monday through Fridays, I'm usually working, so I don't really eat breakfast. I kind of, talked about that. Depends if I do drink coffee. I do drink usually black. If I do it, it's like either like some whole, some grass-fed milk. If I do cream, that's usually my way, my morning. Just as well as like a lot of water, right? So it's usually my morning, and then if I do like a run in the afternoon, I'll try to mix in some eggs, a little bit of pepper jack cheese, something I get from the farmer's market down here, which is really nice. And then if I have like some leftover steak, I'll mix that in as well. If I have some beef liver, I've been really into the beef liver recently, so that's been really awesome. I have some good chips that I've been getting, so those have been really delicious. And then usually at night, I either do one ribeye, one New York strip, or some some ground beef.
Nice. And so you're eating animal foods. It sounds like a whole gamut of animal foods. So that's great. It sounds like it's mostly beef. You also use other ruminants like lamb or.
I haven't gotten into that, and it's just something that I haven't, I'm not familiar with how to cook it, and I don't really have access to it, not that I've seen. I just enjoy steak so much that I don't need it, right? So, and I've definitely had it before, out to restaurants and stuff like that, but it's just something I haven't, kind of found my way, into looking into.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, and then I also do some, a couple times a week I try to do some salmon, that or salmon roe, just try to spike those omega-3 levels and get the DHA and EPA. So really interested in the science and what it boils down to. So it's kind of been testing those theories out as well.
Fun, yeah. There's lots to learn. That's
it really is. It really is.
And the more the more you learn, the better you do, I think.
Yeah, and it's also about being prepared, right, and having the ability to do it, right. So before, I know it's not, it depends who you ask, grass-fed or grain-fed beef, what's better for you. I tend to, yeah, exactly. I shrug my shoulders. Not a lot, if you're asking Rob Wolf, not a lot of science to support it. So it's like, what's the real answer? So I also,
it really depends on what you have access to, really.
Exactly. So I mean, when I was living back up in Massachusetts, it wasn't a lot of farmers that I was aware of around. So moving down to North Carolina, a lot more local farmers, and I like supporting those kind of people, and they're always grass fed, and I think it's also pretty good for the climate as well. So assisting where I can.
Can you get raw milk there?
I don't know. I don't know if it's raw milk. That's a good question.
Raw milk or raw cream. So that sounds
Mhm.
good. So and because of your activity level with running, I would think that you would have to eat plenty.
Yeah, I think I'm about, oh, this is gonna sound funny. Uh 5 to 6 eggs a day,
Yeah.
which is a lot in most people's cases, right? It's always funny when I go to the farmer's market and they're like, "You want how many dozen of eggs?" And I was like, "3."
Ah, good for you. You get good
Yeah,
eggs.
yeah,
Yeah.
I like eating the eggs. It's a nice mix up, right? And steak and eggs is my go-to for lunch. It's quick, it's easy, especially if I'm warming it up.
Eggs are
Um,
fantastic. They're almost like organ
yeah,
food. Yeah.
yeah. So then, yeah, and then I probably average about 1.5 to 2 pounds of meat a day, just
Hmm.
about that. And I feel great running. Like I said, I don't haven't hasn't really held me back yet. So yeah.
Did you have any like digestive issues when you started or before or after?
Definitely had that, and that was actually one thing I was warned about. So, a little bit at, like right at the beginning, when I started to, this is probably about December, January, when I started to, go full carnivore multiple days a week, especially consecutively. And then when you break it off, it's also kind of doesn't help as well. So I didn't have it as bad as most people. Like I wouldn't have like explosive, like where I'd have like sprint to the bathroom. Definitely controllable. So nothing as bad as
So you
some
had
testimonials.
so you had loose bowels at first.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, yeah,
Yeah, not everybody has that, but some people do. Yeah.
yeah. I've also found, and I'm experimenting recently about just mixing in like an avocado a day or every other day. Doing that kind of thing can really help. Something I just experiment with to see how I feel. If it
And how
doesn't
do you
feel good,
feel? How do you feel with that?
I liked it. So I actually felt a lot better. I felt like everything was kind of flowing better, if you will. So I kind of picked that up a little bit more, more
Maybe it's
often.
the potassium or something. I don't know.
I think so, and there's, if I don't want to do that, the avocado, I could just, do the apple cider vinegar or stuff like that. So
Hmm.
I definitely think it's the potassium in it.
Yeah. And how's your sleep?
Sleep has been improving. So I actually have a, Whoop tracker, that's been tracking my sleep for the last better half of 6 to 7 months. Um, Definitely improved, deeper sleep, hitting a lot of REM and deep sleep. I'm really interested in sleep, analysis. So I know these things are only so accurate. I read Matthew Walker's book about why we sleep, and that
Yeah,
really
I wanted to read
was
that.
a
It was
great,
good? Yeah.
great read, and he does a fantastic job about explaining it. So definitely highly suggest that. And I do notice that on mostly a meat based diet, my sleep is a lot deeper, and I'm not waking up in the middle of the night. So that's been really good for me, and that's really important for recovery as well as long term side effects from losing, like lack of sleep. Dementia is a big one. So really curious about a lot of that stuff. So he dives into that book or that stuff a lot in the book. So been really helpful for me. So just kind of full circle to meat based. It's been really really good.
Have you noticed if you added plants in, if you added certain plants like tomatoes or something? I mean, maybe it hasn't been that long. It's been maybe like a year for you.
Just about a year, yeah.
Have you
And I would
noticed?
say like this first 6 months was like more like a introductory course, right?
uh, Have you
Yeah.
noticed changes when you incorporate certain plants into your diet?
I don't think I have tried it yet.
Have
So
you?
I'm more of a minimalist, right? So I try to,
Yeah.
if I
No,
need to
you
make
don't need
steak, it's
to.
really all I want.
Yeah.
There's definitely days where I go off the rails a little bit. Weekends or Saturdays where I'm out and it's not convenient to mostly eat meat. So those are the days where I start to feel the bloat come back, and that's like, this is why I do this. This is why I don't eat out like this kind of stuff, and I mostly stick to my meat based diet. So yeah, I haven't really incorporated a lot of plants into my diet as of yet. I've heard some people try to do kale or spinach just to try to get those leafy greens. Um,
But then you have oxalates and goitrogens and phytates to deal with.
right. So yeah, it's just something, like I said, I'm a minimalist. It's pretty easy to cast iron my steak, and I'm comfortable with that at that point.
Yeah. And did you
Yeah,
say you lost 30 pounds?
I did. Yeah, so I think on my heaviest I was 210, about around that range, maybe 215. I don't recall. And then about like late last week, I was about 178. So definitely looking a lot thinner, feel a lot better. Like I said, the bloat has just been, it drops like that. You start to feel it within, 10 days, I would say, about, really eating like a meat based diet. I've never been the one to have like abs, and I swam growing up, so I was always a little bit more bulky than most people. So once I start cutting out the carbs and a lot of the plants, really slimmed down. So it was kind of weird. I was a little concerned at first. I was like, should I be losing this much weight? But I definitely think it's my natural, body weight right now is what I'm like hovering around.
Uh-huh. Oh, uh, you just said something that makes me kind of curious. So do you think that swimming makes people bulky, or?
No, I think I was bulkier as a swimmer, right? I think usually, the swimmer spot, if you will, right? Usually like the V shape, and you have abs,
Yeah.
things like that. So I think I was bulkier as a swimmer. I had broad shoulders, never really had like the defined, and we're swimming like 8,000 yards a day, at that point. So pretty high functioning, exercise.
And so your digestion's good now.
Yeah, great. No problems at this point.
And what do your friends and family think now?
So, I actually got a little bit of ridicule at first from a couple of my roommates, and they were like, "Yeah, you can't do that, heart disease." Like I said, then one of them jumped on board, and that was pretty interesting. So he actually, liked it a little bit. Actually cured his eczema, which is pretty intriguing. I've heard that's definitely a testimonial that I've seen on Paul Saladino's, Instagram account, which is pretty cool. He was doing a full marathon. I did a half last week, so he kind of went off the rails a little bit, because a lot of the stuff he was reading was that you need to at least do some carbs. So that was really, his side of it. I always like to say I'm not fully animal based, but I'm more whole foods based, right? Like and that's what how Sean's book really resonated with me, was that if you're removing a lot of the processed foods from your diet, that's going to make you feel better regardless.
Well, I personally think that if you're eating 75% animals, you're animal based.
Exactly. And that's what I would even say, like, I'm at 85, 90. My Monday through Saturdays are mostly animal based, and it depends on my schedule if I'm going out or whatnot and what's convenient. So been really well accepted, and my friends and family, I definitely get a little bit of ridicule. It's always funny when someone's like, "You eat what all the time?" But like I said, this has been more of a passion for me for a while, like mostly like the nutrition side of things. I've always had a really, it's been my hobby, since I was in high school and college. So finding this has been definitely the best diet. And I actually kind of experimented with, carb cycling back in college to try to lose some weight. And the best days were my high fat days, where I would just eat steak and eggs because that was the best. So yeah, it's been some.
Yeah, it's so curious, because is it about the high fat, or is it about the absence of irritating plants?
Right.
Really
I would agree.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think I've actually been looking into Mark Sisson, and his idea of metabolic flexibility and being able to really transition your body through, what are you burning? Are you burning fat, or are you burning glucose, so carbs, right? And that's been a really cool experience. And I think I've gotten to that point where my body can transition pretty easily between a fat burning, or you're burning glucose or carbs.
I mean, the body's amazing, and
It really is.
it has to do that all day long for us.
Right, exactly.
Because different parts of the body require different things, but
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, it's so great to have the nutrient support from animals.
Yeah, no, I would agree. And it's weird because everyone always asks me, "Do you get sick of steak?" And I don't. It's really weird. I mean, it's like I said, I've been doing this for about a year now, and it's like I don't get sick of it. And I don't even like crave chicken anymore, which is really strange because that was what I was mostly eating. So it's just kind of strange to see how far I've come.
What'd you say? Crave drinking? Is that what
Oh,
you
I'm
said?
sorry, chicken.
Oh, chicken. Oh, yeah,
Chicken.
chicken. Yeah, chicken is sort of like, yeah, it makes me hungry.
Yeah, and I don't even like. It's not even appetizing at this point. So
It's a
I'm not sure.
different fat. It's different fat.
Yeah, yeah,
It's polyunsaturated mostly.
right. And I try to stay away from those as much as possible.
Yeah, I mean, unless you can get pastured chicken, which helps, but
Exactly.
yeah, it's a different fat, so it feels different to me too.
Mm-hmm.
Although some people really love it and do fine with it, I guess.
Yeah, no, I think you have to listen to your body at some point, right? It's like what works for you best,
Yeah.
right? So if you're eating that kind of meat.
You mentioned liver. Do you eat other organs?
I don't. I haven't gotten into it. I've tried to, kind of get into the beef heart, but something that I just haven't picked up yet. The liver chips are just so easy, and liver was the first organ that I started eating really. I'm still kind of perfecting my homemade recipe. It doesn't. It's more about just choking it down and getting the nutrients out of it.
So you make your own liver chips, you mean?
I don't make the own liver chips. I buy the liver chips and I can make my own liver as well. So I try to alternate between the two.
Yeah, good for you. And so you're using ground beef and steak.
Yeah, it's pretty simple. That's the other easy part about this is that I don't really think a lot when I'm going out and grocery shopping. It's really just like, how much meat do I need? You know?
Have you found that it has saved you money or about the same? Or?
I think it's about the same. I know buying from a farmer's market and definitely supporting, local people here can be a little bit more expensive. I do think that if you're trying to like cut back costs, I think OMAD is a really good way to do that because then you're only eating twice a day.
Too mad. OMAD, you're eating once a day.
Either, yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. My apologies. Yeah. So if you can do that as well, and then also eating eggs has been really helpful.
Yeah, eggs really help.
Pretty cheap.
Yeah.
Yeah, $5 a dozen. If you're eating 5 to 6 a day, I guess it can get a little pricey, but
it sounds like it's great for you.
Yeah, no, it's been an awesome experience and something that I look forward to continuing. Trying to sign up for a full marathon come October of this year. So
nice.
Looking forward to that, and then kind of trying to keep on my carnivore journey and do it kind of all the way through. So it's been a great experience, and I can't thank the carnivore community enough, right? Because I found Shawn, then I found MeatRx, and actually MeatRx was the place I kind of started to look for local farmers. I'd go on the website and just browse through. Yeah, so that's been really rewarding and really
so
just.
Do you attend the meetings on MeatRx?
I don't, so I'm not actually a member.
It's a month free membership.
Oh, okay. I'll look into it. So, but I've been able to find like the farmers from my local area, which has been really cool and doing that kind of thing.
That's great. Well, I'm glad you're in the carnivores with me.
Yeah. It's been a journey. It's definitely taken me some time to get spun up myself, and it's not easy. I think, like I said, one of the best pieces of advice from Shawn's book was to just slowly, accumulate yourself, into it and get going. So
make it work for yourself.
Exactly, and listen to your body, right? If you need more fat, I think that's been the biggest lesson over the last 6 months is that I don't think I was getting enough fat. Kind of just eating a lot of strip steaks. Kind of doing some more ribeye, eating bacon. That's been helpful. I also eat a little bit of dairy, so I do cheese, here and there, things like that.
Nice. Yeah, listen to your body and optimize and
exactly
and have your direct experience.
Right.
Well, it was great to meet you, Zack.
All right, Brooke, I appreciate it. Thanks for having me on. And
let me ask one more question.
Oh, of course.
And that would be, so I think you already answered it actually with what you just said, but more pointedly for someone who is just starting or just wondering or just sort of curious about it, what would you tell them?
I'll tell them do a lot of research, right? And then also try, so listen to the community. There's a lot of YouTube clips that I binged hours, looking at. I think Michaela Peterson has a lot of good, clips about her transition and all of the things that she's, been able to cure. And then also just dive right in. And I'm a big proponent of trial by fire. If it doesn't work for you, it doesn't work, but don't give up right away. And try one carnivore day a week, increase that to 2, 3, et cetera, and it's not going to be an overnight thing. I think a lot of my success came from slowly getting acclimated back into it, and then finally picking up speed and really trying to listen to my body and see what works for me, and really just regaining your health, because that's a lot of the inspiration that I got was being able to take back my health and my I want to live my life free of joint pain. I'm 24. I don't want to have to have like this knee arthritis forever, take Advil every single day, every 4 or 5 hours. It's not fair to you. So if there's any piece of advice I'd give, it's that.
That's perfect. That's great.
Awesome
advice. Thank you.
Thank you. Of course.
Hey, take care and have a great weekend.
All right. Thanks, Brooke. I appreciate it. You as well.
Thank you.